Hi everyone, welcome to Bonnie Caroline Makes Cards. This all die cut card with just a touch of foiling was fun to make. In fact, I think I used just about every die in the set. I have a Slimline Christmas card featuring Spellbinders Christmas Foliage Strip Borders. Die cutting is one of my favorite things to do, so let's get started. Using the lacy border die, I cut some Neenah Classic Crest 110 pound cardstock. I left it a little bit wider than I would need it so I could trim it down to size later. I'm using one of the glimmer plate sentiments from Spellbinders Curved Christmas Glimmer Borders. There are no dies for these sentiments, so I've been fiddling around trying to figure out how I can get this positioned exactly where I want it on my background. By trimming down the edge of the foil that follows the curve, I'm able to position it and then use a bit of post-it note to hold everything in place to put it on the foiling machine. I put it face down and my layers are correct. The glimmer plate is facing upwards, the shiny side of the foil is down, and then my cardstock on top. It worked, I don't have to redo it. Next, I have die cut some matte silver cardstock with the lattice die. The lattice die, the lace edge die, I'm just making those names up so I have something to refer to them by. The gorgeous Christmas foliage die has been cut from lilac cardstock. So the first thing that I'm going to do to start assembling this card is taking that panel with the lacy edge and I'm going to adhere it to the foliage strip. The lacy edge is just going to catch that solid border on the foliage strip, and I don't want glue seeping out, so I'm applying Tombow. I'm going to set it aside to dry until it is tacky. When Tombow glue is tacky, it is also repositionable, so that gives lots of flexibility when positioning something like this. So now back to the matte silver cardstock that was die cut with the lattice die. I'm just going to adhere some of the lilac cardstock behind it. The last border die in this set will be used to cut foam. It's not at all for decorative reasons, it's just so that I can get that same curved edge. The upper panel with the foliage will be adhered to it for some dimension. The foam does not quite fit the dimensions of the panel, but that's okay, as long as it's following the curve because everything's going to be trimmed down. Liquid adhesive is applied just along the edge of the foam and it's going to be adhered to the matte silver cardstock panel. The lattice peeking out from behind the foliage is really pretty and I don't want it to slip out of position. Things can easily move around when you have a combination of foam and metallic cardstock, so I pop some weight on it until that glue dries. Just a little bit more trimming and my final dimensions are 3 1/4 by 8 1/4 inches. The panel is adhered to blue violet cardstock that measures 8 1/2 inches by 3 1/2 inches. Then onto a card base it goes of Neenah Classic Crest 110 pound cardstock that is 8 3/4 inches by 3 3/4 inches. This die set comes with beautiful individual foliage dies. Some of these elements have been die cut from the blue violet cardstock. They will be used to highlight some of the aspects of the violet border, adding depth and dimension. The smaller of the 2 poinsettia dies are used to create a petal layer on the lilac poinsettias. The petals are shaped before they're adhered. I've also die cut the small and large poinsettia, which have been offset with some beautiful matte silver holly leaves. While these accent pieces dry, I'm going to be adding some silver sequins to the center of the flowers. These sequins are quite something. They almost have like little facets in them that make them glimmer and shine like disco balls. They are by Studio Cassia called Silver Fever Fusion. The branches are highlighted with blue violet berries. The jewel picker comes in handy for handling these itty-bitty die cuts. The poinsettias and holly leaves are positioned so that they accent the sentiment. All of the berries and sequins are topped up with Nouveau Crystal Drops Morning Dew. Morning Dew, when dry, has a clear, shiny finish, which always enhances anything that you put it on. But the finish on these Silver Fever Fusion sequins is quite something. Unfortunately, a little bit hard to capture how beautiful it is in a photo, but trust me, they're gorgeous. And just to balance out that poinsettia and holly leaf cluster, I add in a few more sequins. It's not quite complete until I add in the Morning Dew. And that wraps up this just about all die cut card featuring Spellbinders Christmas Foliage Strip and Borders. If you are interested in any of the products that I've used to make this card, you will find links in the description of my YouTube video or on my blog at bonniecarolee.com. Here's wishing you a beautiful Christmas. And as always, I appreciate your visit and support.